If you grew up in the 70s, you are a statistical anomaly. Think about it. You survived a childhood that would get a modern parent arrested in less than 24 hours. You played on construction sites, disappeared for hours without tracking, and resolved conflicts without an adult there to mediate feelings. Modern society looks at your past and sees danger. They see trauma. But let me be brutally honest with you right now. What they call trauma, biology calls a competitive advantage. You don't feel out of place today because there is something wrong with you. You feel out of place because you are a wild animal forced to live in a domestic petting zoo. Look around you. The modern world is loud, fragile, and desperate for approval. People panic at the sound of silence. They have outsourced their ability to think, to solve problems, and even to feel, trading autonomy for a cheap hit of digital dopamine. And this is where your restlessness starts to make sense. You feel like you have a Ferrari engine, but you're stuck in a bicycle traffic jam. That loneliness you feel, it's not sadness. It is the boredom of a mind that was trained for war and is now forced to live in a time of artificial peace. They tried to convince you that your reserved nature, your silent observation, and your ferocious independence are defects that need to be cured with group therapy and forced socialization. They lied. What you carry inside you is not a flaw. It is lost technology. A mental programming of sovereignty that went extinct in the following generations. In this video, I'm not going to give you a pat on the back and say, "It's okay to be different." I'm going to hand you the instruction manual you lost along the way. I'm going to prove to you, using neuroscience and raw philosophy, that what you call inadequacy is actually the only real advantage left in a world of copies. You've spent the last few years thinking you were falling behind. In the next few minutes, you're going to discover that, actually, you are the only one who is armed. Before we start, just hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Let's pop the hood of your mind and look at the engine. To understand why you operate this way, we need to go back to that specific environment of the 1970s. Modern science calls that period a low stimulation window. I call it the Great Filter. While a child's brain today is bombarded by notifications and digital rewards every 15 seconds, your brain grew in silence. And here is the psychology fact that changes everything. Boredom wasn't the enemy. Boredom was your steroid. Neuroscience confirms that when the brain isn't entertained externally, it is forced to build internal infrastructure. You didn't have an iPad to save you from boredom on a rainy Sunday afternoon. You were forced to look inward. This forced the development of a robust prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for strategic planning and emotional control way ahead of schedule. While generations was being forged in the fire of figure it out yourself, the following generations were trained to be dependent on external feedback. And this brings us to Carl Jung. Jung spoke about the process of individuation, the painful journey of separating from the herd and discovering who you really are. For most people, this takes a lifetime. For you, a 70 skid, this happened at 10 years old. Why? Because solitude accelerates the truth. You spent hours, maybe days, without direct adult supervision. Childhood mores for you aren't about guided tours. They are about autonomous exploration. In that vacuum of authority, you had to confront your own shadow. You met your fears, your limits, and your capacity for cruelty and kindness without a parental filter. You developed what psychology calls real resilience, not the participation trophy version we see today. You learned to trust your own judgment because, often, it was the only thing you had. But there is a price for this depth, and this is where Arthur Schopenhauer comes in. Many of you feel guilty for having no patience for social superficiality. You go to dinner parties and feel your energy drain when the conversation turns to gossip or small talk. Schopenhauer diagnosed this centuries ago. He argued that solitude is the patrimony of superior minds. He said, "A man can be himself only so long as he is alone. Your aversion to socializing isn't a defect. It is an intellectual defense mechanism. It is your brain rejecting mental junk food. You aren't antisocial, you are selective." There is an abysmal difference between not being able to connect with people and choosing not to connect with just anyone. And while you were in this selective isolation, you were doing something else, observing. With no screens to look at, you looked at faces. You studied micro-expressions, tones of voice, unspoken hierarchies. You learned to read what wasn't being said. This analog childhood of Lupton turned you into a human lie detector. You see the world in high-definition emotional resolution, while the majority is still trying to understand the basics. So stop apologizing for who you are. Biology, psychology, and philosophy agree. You weren't broken by the 70s. You were upgraded by them. But knowing this isn't enough. Now that you understand the origin of your power, we need to talk about how the world tried to disarm you and how to flip the script. Here is the key shift that modern society tries to hide from you. They spent the last few decades trying to fix you. They said you needed to be more extroverted, more participative, more of a team player. But have you ever stopped to ask yourself why your silence bothers them so much? It's not because they think you're sad. It's because silence in a world of constant noise is intimidating. The modern world operates on exposure. People hand over their strategies, their fears, and their desires on Instagram and LinkedIn before they even have breakfast. They are open books. And in any conflict, whether in business or personal life, information is ammunition. You, molded by the raw psychology of the 70s, are a locked vault. While they talk, you listen. While they seek approval, you collect data. Sun Tzu, the greatest military strategist in history, wrote, "Be subtle even to the point of formlessness. Be mysterious even to the point of soundlessness. Thereby you can be the director of the opponent's fate." You live this naturally. Your ability to stay quiet in a meeting room, while everyone tries to prove who is the smartest, isn't passivity. It is a position of absolute power. You are seeing everyone's cards, but no one is seeing yours. This brings us to your second weapon, immunity to validation. Generations and 70s kids possess something that is practically extinct today, an internal locus of control. Because you grew up without a digital audience applauding your every step, you learn to self-evaluate. You don't need the world to tell you that you read good to know you read good. This makes you dangerous. Why? Because you are uncontrollable. Most people today are manipulatable through vanity or insecurity. Give them a like, and they love you. Take away the attention, and they crumble. Not you, you are immune to this cheap currency. You operate based on your own standards, forged in that resilience of someone who skinned their knees on asphalt and had no one to kiss it better. And finally, your most lethal weapon, emotional X-ray vision. Remember that silent observation? Those childhood mores of having to navigate the adult world without translators? This gave you an almost supernatural ability to read intentions. You smell fakeness from miles away. When someone tries to manipulate you with a corporate smile or an empty promise, your internal alarm goes off. You see the micro-expression, the hesitation, the inconsistency. To the world, you just seem quiet. But inside your head, you have already mapped the hierarchy, identified the threats, and calculated the escape routes. They think you are disconnected. The truth is, you are the only one in the room seeing reality in high definition. So understand this. Your childhood scars aren't tattoos of trauma. They are military battle stripes. You were trained to be an autonomous operator in a world of dependence. But having the arsenal isn't the same as pulling the trigger. You have the weapons, but you've been letting them rust in the basement, afraid to use them. Enough. It is time to stop acting like a civilian and start acting like the veteran you are. Knowing you are a weapon is useless if you don't know how to pull the trigger. Most of you have spent the last few decades trying to hide these traits. Starting today, you are going to start using them offensively. Here are 3 practical protocols to reactivate your original 1970s programming and dominate any modern environment. Protocol 1. The tactical gray rock. Stop trying to be the most interesting person in the room. The modern world is addicted to peacocks, people who spread their feathers and scream for attention. Let them scream. When you enter a meeting or social event, activate gray rock mode. For the first 10 minutes, offer no information. Do not try to impress. Just observe. Map out who is insecure, who is in charge, and who is faking it. While they waste energy trying to be seen, you are accumulating the most valuable currency of any conflict: information. Become a mirror where they project their insecurities, while you remain impenetrable. Protocol 2. The power pause. The 3-second rule. Your childhood development taught you to think before you speak. Use this to destabilize opponents. In any negotiation or argument, when someone finishes speaking, do not respond immediately. Wait 3 seconds. Count mentally. 1, 2, 3. Looking them in the eyes. Silence is uncomfortable for the anxious modern mind. They will try to fill that void, often revealing more than they should or backtracking on their demands. Your silence isn't hesitation. It is tempo control. Whoever controls the silence controls the conversation. Protocol 3. Analog Refueling. You weren't built to be connected 24/7. Your social battery drains faster because your processor is more powerful. Stop apologizing for needing to disappear. Schedule your solitude as if it were a board meeting. Turn off the phone. Go to the woods, to the garage, to the books. Schopenhauer said that solitude is the workshop of genius. While the rest of the world is draining themselves on social media, you are sharpening the blade. When you return to the social world, you won't come back tired. You will come back lethal. I have a mission for you. For the next 30 days, stop pretending. Stop laughing at jokes that aren't funny. Stop filling awkward silences. Stop seeking validation from people you don't respect. Embrace your Jenks nature. Be the observer. Be the strategist. If you grew up in the 70s, you aren't a relic of the past. You are a sleeping predator who forgot how to hunt. It is time to wake up. If you recognize this programming inside you, if you feel this video described your soul, leave a comment below with the phrase, "I am the strategist." Not for the algorithm, but for yourself. To mark the moment you stopped apologizing for being who you are. Subscribe to the channel if you want to keep receiving the codes that the modern world tries to erase. The majority will keep sleeping. You have work to do. See you in the next video.